Andrew, are you aware that each and every morning we have this thing called a coaches meeting?
Yes, I am.
And how do we typically start these meetings?
Every single day, it's wins of the day.
Wins of the day?
Yep.
And why do we start off each and every meeting with wins of the day?
That way we're starting off with something positive. We're starting off with something that either one of us or a client has achieved in the previous day.
And let me ask you this. What percentage of our wins of the day are usually client-focused? Like a client that we're working with right now who's having big success?
A majority of them. Most of them are client wins.
Well, on today's show, we're going to celebrate yet another edition of Wins of the Week, and we're going to celebrate the successes of a company called Rite Temp. These guys are having massive success, and they sent us over a 35-minute testimonial about the successes they've had since entering into the Thrivetime Show business coaching program. Andrew, are you aware that right now, according to Forbes, 9 out of 10 small businesses fail?
I've heard that, yeah.
Have you heard that the average American business that doesn't fail grows at an average rate of about 3%?
Yeah, I heard that.
Which thus means if our client's growing by 10%, 20%, 30%, that means they're having massive success.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now without any further ado, it is time for
Wins of the Week!
Doing the bull dance, feeling the flow, working.
You can do it!
My name is Michael Faust, and my company's name is Rite Temp Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling. We're located in Veneta, Oklahoma, and we've been working with the Thrivetime Show business coaching program since August of 2018. Some of the specific things that we have worked on with Thrive to help improve Rite Temp Refrigeration has been the checklists and the key performance indicators. In other words, making it to where our employees know what's expected of them, and so we don't have to be on them all the time saying, did you do this, did you do that, reminding them every day of the things that they need to do, because they already have those things in a checklist form, and then we can follow up and make sure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so it saves us a lot of time then on the back end, because it becomes a habit after that, and we don't have to spend lots of time reminding and checking and double checking, because they can read the list for themselves, and then we can hold them accountable. Another thing that we've worked on really is our Google reviews, making sure that people know that, hey, we do have an online presence, and if you're happy with our services, leave us a review. Nobody turns down a good review for their company, and if it's a review that's not so good, it also holds us accountable as a company and as leaders in the company, so that we can make those changes that are needed going forward to make our company an A-plus company, and make our services A-plus services, so that it kind of provides some accountability there, so that we always know, what people are thinking, what the public thinks, what the customers think about our business, so that we can provide what we need to provide and make those changes and kind of course correct as we go. I would describe my mindset after working with the Thrive program as kind of going from kind of a stabled horse mentality that's munching on hay and then going out and just doing its daily exercises, to more of a racehorse mentality. And so rather than waiting for someone to come get us out of the stable in the morning and take us out to do whatever, that we're chomping at the bits, every single day, trying to find out, okay, what can we do today? What can we do today to make this a better company? What can we do today to make our team better so that they can perform better? And it makes everyone happier, because they're achieving the goals that they have in their own minds and in their lives, and the things that they're wanting to accomplish. And we're not tugging against each other all the time. We're more organized. We can really put our best foot forward, and it makes us all better at whatever that we do, whatever our function is in the company. It makes us better at that. So I would really say that to describe our mindset after working with the Thrive program is daylight and dark. It just changes the way that you see your business, rather than wanting just to get by, wanting to just kind of sit back and just kind of get along, to how can we knock this thing out of the park and become the very best in our field, and particularly in our case, in our service area. The level of knowledge that I have about my company now, after the tracking the marketing, reviewing the finances, holding our team accountable, since working with the Thrive team, is really exponential. It's one of those things that, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the things that you're missing until you really come to that place that you start to measure the things that you're doing and see if really you're making any progress in those areas. So you can think in the back of your mind, well, we're doing pretty good in this area, we're doing pretty good in that area, and really you think that you do. But it's not until you make up that checklist and your employees start following that you're like, oh, we're kind of missing it over here, or well, look at that area there, where we could be making more over there, more profit in this area, and still providing the same level of service or even better services in many cases. I think of one instance in particular that we were using an old truck to do our new construction. It was very, it looked good, but it had a lot of miles on it. We were kind of fighting it, mechanically. It really wasn't rated to pull some of the trailers that we needed to pull. And I would get on a job and just, we'd just hammer it. We'd just flamethrower everything. I mean, just anything we could do to get it done. We were running back and forth to the parts houses, doing everything. And my installations manager can tell you more about this later. But we decided one day, when we were almost left at the side of the road with an inoperable truck, that if we're going to make this work, we're going to have to purchase equipment that has the storage space on it. We're going to have to purchase the inventory. We're going to have to really get our act together on this. And I really wasn't looking at that. It was just, let's get the job done, get the job done. Well, we need to organize. We don't have time to organize. We've just got to get the job done. And we have literally been able to cut many of our installation times in half. Never had to go up on our prices at all. But we've doubled our profit just by cutting our installation times in half. Everyone's a lot more relaxed. We're not pulling our hair out. We're not, yelling at each other, so to speak, and frustrated all the time because we have the equipment, the truck's stocked, the trailer's stocked, everything's organized, and really giving an installations manager, rather than me trying to micromanage everything, to give someone the time and the tools to make sure that stuff is organized. It makes your company look more professional. First of all, because you are more professional. Second of all, everybody is going home at a better time, and so you're not out there till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to get equipment going again. Everybody's done by 5, 6 o'clock. By and large, most of the time, things just go so much more smooth, and everybody goes home. Then they're rested for the next day. Then your installations manager, while you're doing the jobs that you need to do, he's out there spending the next day getting the truck restocked, getting things in order, ordering equipment for the next job. And so I would think that the level of knowledge that we have now is so much better because we know what's on every truck. We know how much stock we have on every truck at any given time. We know if we have what we're going to need. And really in this business, that is a make or break deal. You have to know what you have. You have to know where you are financially. And you have to be able to tell your people, hey, this is the mark. This is the bar. This is where we have to be for them to be able to perform at that level. Because if you don't tell them, they don't know. A quote by Dave Ramsey that I heard him say one time at one of his leadership conferences was to be unclear is to be unkind. And I always liked that quote because it really says it all about key performance indicators and about accountability. Is if you do not tell them what is expected, you cannot expect them to do the things that they need to do. You can't just, well, they should know. You can't do that. You have to know. And so I think that level of knowledge right there is just a game changer for any company really that you're involved in. The biggest change that we have made at Rite Temp Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling is on different levels since starting our coaching with Thrive. First off, personally, I found out that I had to change as a person. And not only with Thrive, but I had met with one or two other Thrive mentors just by chance. People got me in the right places at the right time. I really think divine appointments with the right people at the right time, and was able to talk with some of these people in leadership, and they were gracious enough to kind of tell me and coach me in, so how are you dressing when you come to work every day? Are you being too casual? Are you just kind of showing up and just winging it? Or do you have a plan? Do you have managers in place? Or are you the bottleneck? Are you trying to do everything yourself? And so therefore everybody's frustrated, everyone's disorganized, everything like that. And so I had to really look at myself and say, okay, Mike, how are you affecting the company that you own? Are you being the leader that you need to be? And I looked at some of these people and I'm like, my goodness, these people are true leaders. And so in passing this along, as we started kind of dividing up the responsibilities and appointing managers for these positions that normally I would have managed, and quite frankly wasn't doing very well because I was doing too many things at once, and I would forget things, and then the people were frustrated and everything. As I started to look at this, I found out that to be a leader, it takes much more than just saying, okay, everybody do this, and then when you get that done, come back to me and I'll tell you what to do next. But really being a leader, it first begins at setting an example and becoming the kind of person that people respect and that they want to follow. And again, that goes for your dress code. It goes for when you are showing up there, which I wasn't, I never just showed up, at 10 o'clock in the morning sauntering around, but you would just get there, regular time, start your day with everyone else. But are you showing up early before everyone else and getting your act together and getting organized so that when they get there, they're not waiting for 3 hours on you to get things together? And so the personal changes that I've had to make as the owner of this company has been really phenomenal. And I've had to just kind of give myself a good, strong talk and say, okay, Mike, are you the kind of leader that you would want to follow? Are you making decisions in such a way that people are confident in the decisions that you're making? Or are you vacillating back and forth? Man, I don't know. Let's run over here and do this. We'll try to do that. Are you confidently making these decisions and really moving things forward like you have to do whenever you are the owner of the company? Because really the buck stops with you. And so people are going to follow suit. And so as we started dividing these responsibilities up, I tried to share with my team leaders, okay, here's the changes that I'm having to make. You may have to make some changes in your own personal life in order to become the leader that you need to be. And so it's been exciting to watch as those leaders have learned new things kind of as they went on, on jobs or in situations with personnel, that they'll be like, okay, this here doesn't really work the way that we're doing it, the way that we're handling these situations. We need to change some things. So I found that as I shared this with my team leaders, that they began to look at the way that they were doing things, and they would have to say, okay, we're going to have to change some things about the way that we're handling these situations so that we become the leaders that people want to follow. And quite honestly, it's made things a lot smoother. It's made, again, the expectations of the employees under them have become a lot clearer, and we've worked through some difficult issues at points, and at times, but it was good for all of us. It kind of grew us up from a little mom and pop deal here, just winging it, into a place to where actually we're becoming a company that is a viable company that people look on and they say, whoa, we see some changes in there. We see, and they're very real changes, and that's all been done in a very short time. So at the time of this recording, here it's the first part of March 2019. We started this about the first part of August. So as you can see, in a very, very short time, many changes have been made, but those things have to be made very quickly, very abruptly, very much cut and dried, so that you can see the needle move on those issues. And so that's the biggest change I guess I had to make personally, so that our business could change as a whole. And as we made those personal changes, the company started changing into something much bigger, much more professional. Another thing was, adding personnel to handle some of the invoicing and accounts payable, things like that. Very, very difficult for me to do because I'm hands-on. I don't want anybody touching that stuff. I've got my deal that I'm doing, but I found that those things were robbing my time. So I had to learn to turn loose of a whole lot of things. And when I did that, my stress levels went down. And honestly, as difficult as it is, and this right here is huge, entrepreneurs need to learn this, and it took me years to learn. Very difficult. Okay, I'm not egotistical. I'm not. I don't think just tons of myself. But I realized that the way that I was handling things in my business was saying to others, I'm the only one that can do this. And you have to learn that there's people that can do it a lot better than you can. That you can't do everything in your business as well as some of the other people that you could appoint to those positions. And they can do them far better than you can. Get them done much more efficiently, have the desired results that you wish you had in your business, but you can't because you're still trying to do every bit of it yourself, because in the back of your mind you think, well, no one can do this like me. I know how to do this thing, whatever it is, better. But the truth of the matter is that there isn't one of us that can do it all by ourselves and be able to have all the skill sets that are needed to do this. So case in point, we look at sometimes leaders of large companies, corporations, organizations, churches, other ministries, colleges, anything like that is a large organization and has lots of moving parts. And we think, well, that person has got it all together. They must get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. They must go to bed at midnight every night. They're never tired. They always look happy. They're always on top of everything. They never forget anything. And so what we don't see, I think, in a lot of those situations is that person is not doing every single thing that is required to make that organization work, because they can't. I don't care how talented, I don't care how educated, I don't care how organized that they are. There comes a time when, for an organization to move forward, there has to be some changes made, and that person has to say, look, I'm going to hand some of this stuff off. Sometimes those people may not handle it 100% as well as you can. Sometimes they operate at a much higher level of efficiency. Sometimes they're 200% better than what you are at doing whatever it is that you're delegating to them. And so you find that whatever the case is, that you put it in the hands of good people that's working hard and they want to see that company go somewhere and succeed, you're just going to go places. You are going to go places because you've found that our way of doing things isn't always the best way. And you put it in someone else's hands and you're like, man, I should have done that years ago. Because now, look at the success we're enjoying. Plus, your stress level is lower because you have fewer responsibilities. And you can really focus on the things that genuinely only you can do. Or just the task that you want to do because you enjoy doing it. And after all, being an entrepreneur, you have to do a lot of things sometimes that you don't like to do. But at the end of the day, I think that most entrepreneurs do what they do because deep in their heart they love what they do, and that's what drives them every day. Otherwise, you would just give up because it's just, quite frankly, too hard to own a business unless you really love what you do. I would recommend Thrive to someone who is starting or growing a business, and here's why. Okay, Thrive at its core is very much involved in sales, very much involved in marketing, very much involved in online presence and how you look to the world in an online setting. Okay, and so whenever and this kind of meshes in with the conferences. When I remember whenever I went to the first conference that me and my wife both went, and I heard some things that they were telling me, but I was like the typical person. I was really trying hard to listen and to learn, because I didn't want to be that guy that says, oh, well, this will never work in my business. But at the end of the day, while I liked the ideas and while I liked the systems and the different things that were being shared, I kind of said to myself, I'm like, well, I don't know how this is going to apply to a service company. To a company that's selling things, I can see how it would apply all day long, and it would be excellent. And so I kind of had it in my mind, it's, boy, I don't know how I'm going to really apply this. So me and my wife went to dinner. We talked about it all evening long, went back to the hotel, sat there way up into the night going through our books that they had given us and looking at everything. So after the conference had finished for the first day, me and my wife went out to dinner, and we were eating dinner and then going back to the hotel, visiting, talking about all this. We talked about it all evening, way up into the night. And finally, at the end of all this, we concluded, okay, our team, the leaders of our team, need to see this. We had one son that's still at home, and he works for the company. And while he's not a team leader, we're like, well, he needs to see this also. He needs to understand that if he is never a team leader, if he is never a business owner, an entrepreneur, he still needs to see what is being expected of successful companies and how he can excel, so he will have a leg up whenever he gets into the job market. Because he was still a senior in high school, and we're looking at all this, and what's he going to do, and how, what direction is he going to take. And so it became clear to me after the second day that I was like, I really want to apply these things, can't really see how. So we came back, I came back actually, and I took our installations manager, and I also took my son that's still living at home, and he works on the installations team. They work together. So I said, I want you guys to see this. This is a different workshop, business workshop, than you've ever been to before. It's very high energy. It's very interesting. You will not get sleepy after lunch like normally happens at most business seminars and meetings. And both of them, even as young men, came out of this workshop with, their heads just spinning. And my son said to me, he said, Dad, you have got to get involved in this coaching program that they're talking about here. I think it would really help your company a lot. And so we went back the second day. After hearing it the second time, I heard it with different ears. And that's part of the reason why I would recommend going at least twice before you judge it and say, oh, well, that could never work in our company. Because the first time you go, a lot of these ideas are so new. And while I listened to the Thrivetime Show on the radio and things like that, I still hadn't got my mind around how can this really work for us. And so by the end of the second day of the second time that I attended the conference, it was beginning to kind of come through to me, okay, we could do this over here. This will apply to this area of our business. And this will apply to this area of our business. And when I begin to see that actually, while we're not just a company that sells things all the time, and so after the second day of the second time that I attended the conference, I began to see, okay, look, I think we can take and we can apply this to this part of our business. We can apply this to this part of our business. And it became clear to me after a while that, there's a lot of similarities here, and I think we can make this work. And so I inquired about the coaching program, got involved in the coaching program. And I think that if you're starting, if you already own a company, is a great time to do it. If you are starting a company It's a great time to do it. The old saying that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And so probably the best time for you to plug into some business coaching, and particularly the Thrive program, because of its ease of implementation. It was when you first start a business. That's the best time to get involved in that way, so you can structure this thing from the ground up. Because I've had to dismantle some things in order to make things right. The second best time is today. So it really doesn't matter whether you're just starting a company or if you have owned a business for many years or have just worked for yourself as kind of a one-man deal. I think at any place in there, they can really kind of come alongside you, help you with these improvements in your company. And there may be areas that you come across, and then they even told me, the coach would be like, oh, you're doing awesome in this area. This is great. And they won't waste a lot of time on that and dismantle what you've done if it's a strong area that you have, but they'll move on to the weak areas. So you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck. And of course, the website development is really phenomenal, because I've had many people say, and I'll ask them, I'll say, so how did you hear about Rite Temp? And they say, well, so-and-so referred you. And so I went to your website and I looked, and it's really nice, And so they're impressed with that online presence, and it don't look like a generic thing that you've just kind of thrown together, because they have professionals doing this. These are the things that I feel like that make Thrive a great value for anyone that is starting or growing a business. And I just would say, give it a try, be open-minded, and begin to look for ways to how that these things apply to your particular business, and it will open up some huge doors for you. I know that it has us. Our numbers already are just really growing as opposed to what they were last year, and it has to do with our efficiency, with the way that we're tracking leads, the way that we're following up on things, and the way that we're delegating things to people that can get it done so much more efficiently than whenever I was the bottleneck and everybody was going through me. And quite honestly, it's a great feeling. And to feel like that, here in a year or two of working this program, that I can actually get on a plane and fly out of state or out of the country if I choose for a week. And when I come back, everything will be in order and everything will be continuing just as if I were here. It gives you a great feeling, very relaxing feeling, and honestly, your stress levels go down a whole lot. Okay, what is your name, business name, and where are you located, and how long have you been working with the Thrivetime Show Business Coaching Program? How has your company been working with it?
My name is Michael Faust, and I work for Rite Temp Refrigeration, Heat and Air out of Vinita, Oklahoma. And we've been working with Thrivetime since about August, I would say, somewhere around there.
Okay. What are the specific things that you've worked on with Thrive to help improve your business, and what function do you serve at that company? What's your position?
So I am the installs manager here at Rite Temp Refrigeration, Heat and Air, and so all I do basically is installs. I mean, new construction, remodels, change-outs, and things like that. So my end of things, we've worked on a lot of checklists and stuff like that, trying to get it to where that we're not all the time running to get parts, we're not all the time, out of supplies, and wasting time, killing time on these jobs, which is hurting our profit. So I would say the checklists have probably helped us out a lot, and that's one of the main things that I've really worked on with Thrive.
How would you describe your mindset after working with the Thrive program? How has it changed your mindset on business and management?
So my mindset after working with Thrive, I've always kind of had a drive to do good and be the best. But I went to Thrive and went to the 2-day conference there, and it totally changed my mindset. Probably the biggest thing is trying to be like absolutely the best. And even though you may not be the best, there's always somebody better. But having the mindset that you're trying to be the best is like my big thing. Like I'm always looking for a way to be better. If I can get it done faster, more efficient, make us more money, anything like that, has. I keep running out of things to say. Hold up.
Okay, so you would say.
Okay, so my mindset after working with the Thrive program has changed a lot. I've always kind of had a drive to do good, and be a good employee. But when I went to Thrive, I seen how they were. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody was up. Looked like they had been up. Dressed, very well. They wasn't all in old junky clothes. And it kind of changed the way I do now. I try to get up, get going, try to look like I'm something when I get to work, and not look like I just rolled out of bed, And I try to be the best in what we do here at the company. I'll pretty much do anything to try to become the best. I mean, if it takes working all night, if it takes getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, anything. And I think that's one of the main things that Thrive helped me with my mindset. Some mornings you get up and you almost feel sick. A lot of it's in your mind, but you almost feel sick when you get up. And you could call in, you could, and get away with it probably. But that's really not what the best do. That's not what the successful people do. They get up, and unless they're just nearly dying, they go to work, whether they feel good or not. And you usually get over it. And I think that makes a difference because they know you're going to be there, even if you don't feel the best. If you only come to work when you feel the best, you probably ain't going to be at work too much. And if they have to second guess whether or not you're going to be there or whether or not you're going to be feeling good that morning or whatever, that's probably not what's going to be getting you the pay raises and the bonuses and things like that. So I think that's probably the main thing that it has changed my mindset with working with the Thrive program.
What has been the biggest change you've made, either personally or in the way that you do business at work every day since the coaching started with Thrive, since your company started using Thrive and implementing the systems and things that they've recommended for your company? What changes have you had to make to kind of turn your ship around and really shoot for the stars?
One of the biggest changes I've had to make since working with Thrive is some of the checklists sometimes aren't really what you're used to doing, especially if you're not used to doing them. And so if you're using, in my instance, you're using stuff off the truck, to go write it down, what you used is not your natural instinct. It's not what I've always done. Everybody who I've worked with coming up as an apprentice, you try to remember, and if you don't remember, it's too bad. But a big deal for us, when we use something off the truck, we try to write it down so we don't forget. And if we don't write it down, we usually forget because it has happened. And so I've had to kind of change some of that. Thrive seems to encourage being organized and not being, and in our field, I don't know, as you probably know, organization is not the most popular thing. Some of these people in the field just run from call to call or from job to job, just throwing their tools, throwing their parts, that, trash. And since Thrive has kind of changed my mindset a little bit, the people seem very organized, so I try to be organized the best I can. We don't, throw our trash in the floor. We don't just throw our tools in, even if it's 11 o'clock at night. We try to put them back where they come from, and I think that's really, really helped. But because before then, I was the guy who just threw stuff in, nothing had a place, and it messed with me because I was always losing tools. I was taking longer to get the jobs done, and I was actually costing the company money because there's a lot of tools out there somewhere that has been the cause of me just throwing stuff around. And when it's not there, you know it. But if, when it's organized, you know when it's missing. So I think that was a big change that really helped me go somewhere.
Would you recommend Thrive to someone who's starting or growing a business, and why? And then talk about coming back to multiple conferences.
I would say I would recommend someone coming to Thrive for coaching, or coming to a conference. I would say one of the main reasons, like I said before, is the organization. You really need to be organized, and until you see how they have it organized, you probably won't, you won't do it. And another thing is, one of the main things that they really stress is the checklists and their online presence. In this day and age, you really need online presence. If you're not online, you probably aren't going to go very far, because as people nowadays, we get in a conversation about something, some product or something, the first thing people do is go look it up. Before they ever go to a store or go look at it or whatever, the first thing they do is look it up. They look at the reviews, and if it has bad reviews, they're like, no, I don't want it, Nowadays, if you want to buy a car and you want to know, when the transmission is going to go out, because it will, it's not if, it's when, you can go online and look, and generically you can find out, for your model of car, when the transmission is going to go out. And some are good, some are bad, and it's kind of the same way with anything else. You can find out how long it lasts, if their services are good, if they're bad, if you don't get back with people, if you're rude, or just a whole bunch of things. So I think your online presence, they'll really help you with that. For some of your reviews, Google reviews, I think that's a really big deal. And I would go back to multiple conferences. I would go back again, because you kind of get a vibe off all the Thrive people, that really sets you on fire, really makes you get up and get with it. And after months, a year, whatever of it, you kind of wear down and lose some of that. But I think going back again will kind of restart that fire and keep you going.
If you're out there and your business is stuck in a rut and you don't know what to do to move beyond just surviving, go to thrivetimeshow.com today and schedule your free 13-point consultation. We'll help you identify your biggest limiting factor, and if we have an availability, we'd love to help you grow your company with a one-on-one business coaching relationship, or we'd love to help you at an in-person workshop, or we'd love to help you with our online school. Either way, we are here to help and to serve you. My name is Clay Clark, and we'd like to end each and every show with a boom. Andrew, are you prepared to bring a boom?
So prepared.
Here we go. Without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!